Life at 40 was exactly as I had meticulously planned it, focused on work, climbing the career ladder, and maintaining a controlled, predictable existence. My success as a department head was matched only by the comfort of my home and the sleek, shiny car parked in the driveway. I had everything, or so it seemed, except for love. Romance, relationships, and carefree moments were all chapters one had skipped, dedicating myself to spreadsheets, meetings, and the relentless pursuit of career success. The moment I stepped into Lisa's party, I could already feel the buzzing energy in the room. Laughter filled the air, and chatter echoed through the space. But I felt like a fish out of water, awkwardly clutching my glass of wine and scanning the crowd, searching for a familiar face. That's when I saw him.
Tom.
He was standing amidst a lively group but seemed detached, like he was there yet not quite. His presence was magnetic, calm in a room full of chaos. I couldn't help but watch him for a moment. He caught my eye and, with a friendly smile, walked over. First time at one of Lisa's infamous parties? Tom asked with a glint of amusement in his eyes. I chuckled nervously. Is it that obvious? I replied. Just a lucky guess, he teased, his tone light and easy. We began talking about books, our mutual love of reading, and slowly, I found myself more and more at ease in his company. There was something incredibly comforting about him, a sense of ease and calmness that I hadn't expected to find at a noisy party. As the evening wore on, we gravitated towards a quieter corner, lost in conversation. It felt effortless, like we had known each other for far longer than just a few hours. Over the next few weeks, Tom and I began seeing each other more often. It wasn't like any relationship I had ever experienced before. He was thoughtful in ways I hadn't known I needed, surprising me with my favorite coffee at work or texting me just to say he was thinking of me. His gestures were small but meaningful, and they slowly chipped away at the walls I had built around myself. One evening, he invited me to his apartment for dinner, and when I walked in, I was greeted with the aroma of a home-cooked meal. I hope you're hungry, he said, his grin wide. I'm impressed, I said, surprised. I didn't know you could cook. There's a lot you don't know about me, he winked. As we ate, Tom shared stories about his family, his dreams, and his fears, things I never thought to ask about before. It was intimate, real, and raw. For the first time in a long while, I felt like someone truly saw me for who I was, not just the career-driven woman I projected, but someone with hopes and vulnerabilities. After dinner, we settled into the couch, enveloped in a comfortable silence. You know, Anna, I never thought I'd meet someone like you, Tom said, his voice soft yet sincere. Like me? How so? I asked, intrigued. Someone who's not just about the surface stuff. You see the world differently, and it's refreshing, he said, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Months passed, and our relationship deepened. Tom was charming not just to me, but to everyone around him. He won over my skeptical mother with his kindness, and when he proposed, it felt like the culmination of something perfect. It was a regular evening, after a peaceful walk in the park, when he turned to me with a serious look in his eyes. Anna, I've been thinking, he started, his voice serious. Tom, what's going on? I don't want to spend another day without you. Marry me. Life with Tom felt effortlessly wonderful. He had a way of surprising me with small gestures that brightened my day. There were little notes hidden around the house, on the kitchen counter, tucked in the pocket of my coat, and sometimes on the bathroom mirror. Each one seemed to say, I'm thinking of you, and it made my heart swell with affection. One evening, as I finished brushing my teeth, I saw a note on the mirror that simply read, Meet me in the backyard. Curious, I made my way outside and was greeted by a sight that made me laugh. Tom had set up a makeshift movie night under the stars. There was a projector, an old blanket on the grass, and a basket of snacks. Under the stars, just like we always dreamed, he said with a proud grin. You really go all out, don't you? I teased. Only the best for my wife, he replied with a wink, and I couldn't help but melt inside. As we snuggled under the blanket, watching an old classic, I realized how much joy I found in these quiet moments. It wasn't just the grand gestures, though they were delightful. It was the simple things. How he made coffee just the way I liked it, or how he danced around the kitchen while cooking dinner to an old song. I remember one day splashing him with water playfully as we cooked. "Hey, what was that for?" he exclaimed, feigning offense. "Just keeping you on your toes," I laughed. "You're going to pay for that," he said with a mock stern look, but before I could react, he pulled me into a tight hug. Life with Tom felt easy. He was my counterpart in every sense, and even when we disagreed, it was never anything serious. We had this rhythm, this understanding that came naturally. But beneath the surface, I began to notice subtle shifts. After we merged our bank accounts, the small changes began. At first, it was nothing alarming, just a few larger-than-usual purchases here and there. But then I started noticing patterns. Tom was spending more frequently on things that seemed extravagant. Suits, gadgets, dinners out. It didn't sit right with me. One evening, as we sat in the living room, bills scattered across the coffee table, I decided to address it. "Tom, I've been noticing some large amounts coming out of our account lately, fancy suits, high-end gadgets. It's a bit much, don't you think?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. He looked up from his phone, seemingly unbothered. "Oh, that? Well, I need to look the part, don't I?" "You can't have your husband looking shabby," he said, shrugging. "But Tom, we need to be smart about our spending. We have a mortgage and we've got other responsibilities." "Relax, Anna." He waved his hand dismissively. "We're doing fine. Don't be such a worrywart." That conversation left a sour taste in my mouth. Our approaches to money were so different. I was used to saving, planning for the future, while Tom seemed to live entirely in the present, unconcerned with tomorrow. It wasn't just about the money. It was a reflection of something deeper, something I couldn't ignore. Weeks passed, and Tom's behavior began to shift in other ways too. He started spending less time with me, often opting to hang out with his friends rather than join me for quiet evenings at home. I chalked it up to him needing space, but deep down, I felt something was changing, something that wasn't as innocent as it appeared. Then came the day he dropped another bombshell. He came home early from work with a bright, buoyant smile on his face. "Guess what?" he said, raiding the fridge like it was a casual Tuesday evening. "What?" I asked, unsure of what to expect. "I've decided to go part-time at work," he announced. "I'll only be working till noon." I froze, dumbfounded. "Part-time? Why?" He shrugged, grabbing a beer from the fridge. "Well, since you're doing so well with your job, I figured I could take it easy for a while. I want to focus on my hobbies, maybe hit the gym, or just enjoy life more." A surge of frustration welled up inside me. We hadn't discussed this, not once. I had always been the one with a steady career, the one supporting both of us. I wanted to scream, to tell him how irresponsible this was, but I stayed silent, unsure of what to say. The conversation between Tom and me continued to spiral out of control. My frustration reached a breaking point as I tried to make him understand the importance of making decisions together. "Tom, we're a team. Decisions like this should be made together," I said, my voice rising. He looked at me, his expression one of annoyance. "Why are you making a big deal out of this? It's not like we can't afford it." His dismissive attitude sent a rush of anger through me. How could he be so nonchalant about something that affected both of our futures? The argument escalated, words exchanged that neither of us could take back, and it ended with Tom storming out of the room. I sat there, my heart heavy with a mix of disbelief and anger. I had hoped that by suggesting we think about starting a family, it might help us reconnect, but I never expected his reaction to be so cold. When I suggested, maybe we should think about having a child, I anticipated excitement, or at least some kind of mutual consideration. Instead, Tom's response was harsh and blunt. "A child? Are you serious, Anna? I think you're a bit too old for that," he said, not even bothering to look up from his phone. His words struck deep, like a slap to the face. "Too old? That's a harsh thing to say, Tom." "It's the truth. Besides, I'm not ready to be tied down with kids," he shrugged casually, almost as if it were an afterthought. I felt my world shift beneath me. the man I had married slipping further away with every passing day. The Tom I had once known was caring and considerate, always thinking of me first. But now, he seemed selfish, disconnected, and emotionally distant. It was as if I was no longer his partner, but just another part of his life that didn't matter. The days turned into weeks, and the distance between us only grew. The person I had fallen in love with seemed to vanish, replaced by someone who barely recognized me. It wasn't just the lack of affection, it was his disregard for everything that mattered to me. I was no longer seen as his wife. I was an accessory to his lifestyle, an ATM of sorts, a provider rather than a partner. As time passed, it seemed like Tom and I were living in two different worlds. I would come home after a long day at work, only to find the house in disarray. One evening, I came home feeling exhausted, hoping for some comfort, only to find Tom sprawled across the couch, scrolling through his phone. "You're home early," he said without looking up, his tone casual, as if nothing was amiss. "Yeah, the gym was crowded. Decided to skip it," I replied, my frustration bubbling just beneath the surface. I surveyed the room. Dishes piled up, laundry left undone, and chaos everywhere. I sighed, feeling the weight of it all. "Tom, since you're home more often, do you think you could help out with some of these chores?" He frowned, his voice defensive. "What now? You want me to be a house husband?" My patience thinned. "It's not about being a house husband. It's about helping each other out." He shrugged, unmoved. "I don't know, Anna. I have other things to do." I bit back a sharper retort, my frustration growing with each passing moment. It felt like talking to a wall. He just didn't get it. Or maybe he didn't care. The silence between us grew unbearable, and the weight of our unspoken words hung heavily in the air. Things only got worse when I suggested he use his free time more productively. "You could use your time for something productive. Maybe cook or take care of the house." Tom scoffed, brushing it off. "Cook? Come on, Anna. You know I'm no good in the kitchen. But you could learn. It would help me out," I urged, hoping he'd see reason. "I have better things to do with my time," he replied, as though my request was absurd. "Like what? Going to the gym and hanging out with your friends?" I couldn't hide the sharpness in my voice anymore. Tom's disregard for everything I valued in our marriage was becoming more evident by the day. The person I once admired was nowhere to be found, replaced by a man whose actions spoke louder than his empty words. With every passing day, the cracks in our marriage deepened, and I began to wonder if there was any hope left. "You just don't get it, do you?" "I need my space, Anna," Tom said, rolling his eyes. His words stung, the final blow to any hope I had left for understanding or partnership. My mind raced in disbelief. "What do you mean, space?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "We're supposed to be a team, Tom. A partnership. But you don't seem to get that anymore." He just shrugged, seemingly indifferent to the weight of my frustration. "It's not that big of a deal, Anna. Relax." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had always believed that marriage was about supporting each other, about sharing responsibilities. But now, it felt like I was the only one doing anything. I worked full-time, managed the house, and now, apparently, I was supposed to be okay with his total lack of contribution. The breaking point came one evening after another grueling day at work. I came home late, exhausted, hoping for some rest or at least some understanding. But as soon as I walked through the door, Tom asked with a casual tone, "Hey, what's for dinner?" I froze for a moment, caught off guard. "I just got home, Tom," I said, my voice tight. "I thought maybe you'd have something ready since you were home all day." He laughed, brushing me off. "Me cook? Come on, Anna. That's your thing." His words were like a slap in the face. "My thing," I repeated, my voice trembling with disbelief and growing anger. "What happened to teamwork, Tom? What happened to supporting each other?" Tom simply shrugged, completely indifferent to my feelings. His lack of empathy was crushing. I went to bed that night feeling more alone than I had in a long time. The man I had married, the one I thought I knew, was slipping further away, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. Our conversations had either become superficial or filled with arguments. The warmth and connection we once shared seemed like a distant memory. One afternoon, while doing a deep clean, I moved the bed to get to the dust underneath and saw something glinting against the wall. My heart sank as I reached down and picked up an earring that definitely wasn't mine. I stared at it in shock, my mind racing with questions. What was this doing under our bed? When Tom came home later, I confronted him directly. Tom, I found this earring under our bed. It's not mine.
Can you explain?
He glanced at the earring and gave a nervous laugh. Where did that come from? Maybe it's from one of your friends. I knew that wasn't possible.
No, Tom.
My friends haven't been over in ages, and none of them wear anything like this. He shrugged, trying to play it off. I don't know, Anna. Maybe it's yours, and you just forgot about it. Frustration and anger bubbled up inside me. I know what my jewelry looks like, Tom. This isn't mine. A tense silence filled the room before Tom sighed, finally admitting, Okay, it probably belongs to a friend of mine. My heart dropped. A friend? I asked, barely able to keep my voice steady. What do you mean, a friend? She must have dropped it when she was here, he said, avoiding my gaze. My stomach churned. She was here? In our house? In our bedroom? Tom gave a half-hearted defense. It's not a big deal, Anna. It was just a visit. I could feel my blood boiling. Just a visit? You brought another woman into our home? Into our bedroom? That's a big deal, Tom. He downplayed it as always. You're overreacting, Anna. It was nothing. But I wasn't buying it. The conversation escalated, and Tom stormed out, leaving me sitting there, feeling more betrayed than ever. That night, as I lay in bed, Tom's admission replayed in my mind. I had married a man who had now betrayed me, who had invited another woman into our home, into our private space. The trust one had in him was shattered beyond repair. The next day, I knew I couldn't let this go. I needed answers. I needed to know the truth. What else had he been hiding? So I reached out to an old friend, someone I trusted, someone who could help me uncover the truth. Hey, it's Anna, I said when he picked up the phone. I need a favor. Something personal. I need to know what's really going on when I'm not around. Can you help me? There was a brief pause before he answered. Of course, Anna. I know just how to handle this. Let's meet and discuss the details. I knew then that this was just the beginning. I was about to uncover everything Tom had been hiding, and there was no turning back. The tipping point came unexpectedly with a phone call from my mother. My father had been in an accident and would need a wheelchair. I immediately began searching for a modern, state-of-the-art model that would help him regain some independence. It was expensive, but my father deserved nothing less. As I was discussing the details with my mother, Tom walked in. What's that about a wheelchair? He asked, his curiosity evident. I hung up the phone and turned to face him. My dad had an accident. I'm buying him a modern wheelchair to help him get around. Tom's eyebrows shot up. Sounds expensive. How much? I gave him the number, expecting maybe some understanding, a show of sympathy for my dad. Instead, his reaction was shockingly cold. Are you crazy? That's a lot of money, Anna, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. I was stunned. It's for my dad, Tom. He needs it. Your dad's old, he scoffed. Why waste so much money on a wheelchair? You should be saving that for us, for our future. I felt a wave of anger rush through me. It's my money, Tom, and it's for my dad. I'm not going to skimp on something he needs. Tom's face turned red. Your money? What about our money? You know what you should be buying instead? That motorcycle I've been looking at. That's a better investment than some old man's wheelchair. My stomach dropped. A motorcycle? He honestly thought that was more important than my father's well-being? A motorcycle? I repeated, my voice rising. You think a motorcycle is more important than my injured father? He shrugged dismissively. Yeah, I do. I work hard, Anna. I deserve it. I was incredulous. You barely work, Tom. And even if you did, my father's needs come before your wants. Then he got right in my face, his voice raised in anger. You're being selfish, Anna. All you care about is your family. What about me? What about what I want? I stood my ground, fighting the urge to break down.
This isn't about you, Tom.
This is about my father needing help, and I'm going to give it to him whether you like it or not. Tom's response was chilling, a mockery of everything I had hoped for in our marriage. You know what, Anna? I married you for your money. You're just an old, ugly woman who I thought would be easy to control. But now I see you're just a fool. If you don't buy me that motorcycle, I'll divorce you. And good luck getting married again at your age. Let's see, who'd want you after me? His words cut through me like a knife. But I had had enough. A surge of determination took over, and I reached into the drawer of the coffee table. I pulled out a folder and slammed it onto the table. These are pictures from a private detective, Tom. They show exactly what you've been up to when I'm not around. My voice was steady, despite the storm inside. Tom's smirk faltered as he flipped through the photos, his face draining of color as he realized the gravity of what I was showing him. The images were undeniable proof of his infidelity. And this, I said, pulling out another set of documents, is our divorce paperwork. I'm done, Tom. I'm done being disrespected, lied to, and used. His earlier bravado disappeared. He looked up from the photos, panic, now, etched across his face. Anna, please, we can talk about this. I didn't mean those things I said. But it was too late. I had seen the truth behind the man I had married. There was no going back. I've made my decision, Tom. It's over, I said firmly. That day, as he left the house with the folder and divorce papers in hand, I felt a profound sense of relief. The pain of years of disrespect and betrayal had come to an end. But there was also sorrow, a sense of loss for the future I had envisioned with him. The divorce proceedings were a nightmare. Tom, in his desperation, demanded alimony, citing the stark difference in our salaries. His audacity knew no bounds. The trial became a battleground of accusations and legal maneuvers. I sat in the courtroom, my lawyer by my side, clutching the folder that held all the evidence of Tom's infidelity and betrayal. As his demands for alimony echoed through the room, I felt a mixture of disbelief and determination. This was the man I had loved, and now he was trying to exploit me one last time. When it was my turn to speak, I presented everything: the photographs, the bank statements showing his extravagant spending, the testimonies about his lifestyle. The evidence was overwhelming. It painted a clear picture of a man who had taken advantage of my love and trust for his own gain. The judge listened intently, flipping through the evidence. His expression was unreadable. After what seemed like an eternity, he finally spoke. The court rules in favor of the petitioner, he said, his voice echoing in the quiet courtroom. The claims for alimony are dismissed, and the divorce is granted on the petitioner's terms. I exhaled the breath I didn't realize I had been holding. A weight lifted off my shoulders. It was over. The legal ties that bound me to Tom were severed, and I was free. In the aftermath of the trial, life slowly returned to a new kind of normal. I focused on rebuilding myself, reconnecting with the parts of me that had been lost in the shadows of my marriage. One day, as I was having coffee with a friend, she mentioned Tom. "Have you heard about your ex?" she asked. "He's in deep trouble. Debt's piling up, and I heard he's even hiding from some angry husbands." I sipped my coffee, feeling a sense of closure. Really? Can't say I'm surprised. He made his bed. Now he has to lie in it. The conversation moved on, but a part of me felt vindicated. Tom's actions had finally caught up with him. It was a harsh reality, but one he had brought upon himself. As I walked home that day, the sun setting in the distance, I felt lighter. The chapter of my life that had been dominated by Tom was finally closed, a bittersweet ending to a story that had started with so much promise. Please feel free to comment below if you like this. Remember to like and subscribers for more.